What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with how dominant has Max Verstappen really been. Before we dive in, y'all know I'm gonna ask y'all to smash that subscribe button, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. What we got?
Max is currently on an absolute tear. He's hit that point in his career where he himself is in his absolute prime in terms of speed and experience, and Red Bull themselves are finally giving him cars to consistently fight for race wins and championships. Even this season, although Checo has put up a really good fight so far in 2023, I don't think that there's any doubt in terms of who's going to come out on top already just 5 races into the season.
Yeah, it's a one man race right now. There's nobody to challenge Max Verstappen. Like you said, bro, I always say, you know what I'm saying? I've learned that they put the best driver in the best car, and that's gonna equal the championship. Like, he's legit out there competing with himself every race, bro.
When great drivers are dominating and look absolutely unstoppable, I think even though in the moment it's difficult to fully appreciate how well they're driving, I still wanted to talk about Max on this current stretch and give my thoughts on how good he's really been and how it's not necessarily his wins that have impressed me the most, but something completely different entirely. Before we talk about the current purple patch that he is having, I think what often gets forgotten is that apart from his rookie season in 2015, which was spent in a Toro Rosso, since his early season promotion to Red Bull in 2016, he has won a race in every single season. Now, granted, even though he hasn't always driven championship level cars, the Red Bulls, even during their weak seasons, have always had tracks where they've gone pretty well at, like Monaco, Austria, and Mexico. Even though Ricciardo also won a race in every single season that he was Max's teammate, it's still impressive that on the days where Red Bull genuinely could compete for a race win, Max was always there to put the pressure on Lewis and Mercedes, and he was always there to capitalize on races when things did come his way. And now, before we move on, if you love McLaren, F1, the Indy 500, the Le Mans 24-hour, or the Monaco Grand Prix, then I have got a little something for you. Sun God have been McLaren's official eyewear brand since 2021, and for the Monaco Grand Prix, they are launching, which is just what the doctor ordered with some talk about drivers being in their prime, and I think that word in general is a very subjective word, but in the context of Formula 1, probably even more so. So much of our perception of how well a driver is driving, I think, is dependent on the competitiveness of their car. But even so, to me, I have always regarded what I consider to be prime Max Verstappen to have started in 2019. Now, it's not so much that...
Hey, 2019, that's 4 years ago. Hey, that's prime very early. Nah, bro, Max is... Bro, he's incredible. He's phenomenal. He's just at the literal top of his game right now. And I've seen there's been races like Schumacher, like Lewis Hamilton, like Ayrton, who just, when they're at the top of their game, they were just dominant. And Max is just in that moment right now.
He got faster in 2019, but I think that he was a much more complete driver. In the years before, he always had the speed, but there were moments of immaturity both in and out of the car. He was also still making a few unforced errors, and also was involved in a few wheel-to-wheel collisions that at the time brought him the nickname Crashstappen. With the departure of Ricciardo, and also having learnt from his accident-filled start to 2018, I really think in 2019 we saw the more complete Max. And with Ricciardo gone, Max had to mature anyway, because despite still being in his early 20s, he was now the experienced leader of the team. And I think that not only did he rise to that challenge, but I think he thrived in it, which is why he became a better and more mature all-round driver. Now, even though I think he matured massively going into 2019, as we saw even this season with Russell in Baku after the sprint, Max occasionally will still have those moments where he doesn't shy away or even try to avoid confrontation. Now, even though I sometimes don't agree with it, I do accept that it's just part of his mental makeup, and in a way, it's that mentality, for good or for worse, that also makes him the ruthless driver and winner that he is.
Exactly, bro. That's what makes him who he is, and you know what I'm saying? That's who Max Verstappen is. You can agree with it or not, like my guy said, but at the end of the day, that's who Max is, and that's what makes him the incredible. That's a part of the reason that makes him the incredible driver that he is.
No driver is perfect both in and out of the car with everything that they say and do. Fernando Alonso is a great example. Driving wise, I think Fernando is an absolute genius, but sometimes when I listen to his antagonistic and sarcastic comments, as much as I love them for the entertainment value, I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, is that really the smartest thing to say? Max is exactly the same. Like every driver, Lewis, Charles, George, he is not perfect, but he is wired the way that he's wired because that's the mentality that got him to where he is today, and you just have to accept him for who he is and who he's not.
Facts.
Before 2021, when Max really started to compete for race wins on a regular basis, I do also want to give a shout out to his 2020 season, which I actually think might go down as probably his most underrated. This was of course the COVID hit season where we went to tracks that we'd never raced at before and also raced multiple times on the same tracks as well.
Oh, wow.
Despite going up against a dominant Lewis and Mercedes, Max still managed to take 2 wins out of 17 races, winning the 70th anniversary Grand Prix when Mercedes had massive tyre wear problems, and also winning the last race in Abu Dhabi when Lewis, by his own admission, was not back to full health after missing the previous race with COVID. Max capitalized on all of the opportunities that came his way, and although he only finished 3rd in the championship,
Lewis won that season by a lot. Shoot. That's when Lewis was, Lewis was a monster too, man. You just had such incredible drivers through the history of F1.
Just 9 points behind Valtteri, who was driving one of the most dominant cars in Formula 1 history. In the last 3 years, starting in 2021, he has had championship level cars that have allowed him to consistently fight for race wins. However, what has really impressed me about Max is not necessarily how many races he's won, it's how rare it is for him to be outside of the top 2 on weekends where nothing goes wrong and no external factors have affected his weekend. Firstly, let's look at 2021. In some races, he simply lost out to the combination of Lewis and Mercedes because on the day they were just faster and did a better job. Those were races like Portimao, Spain and Sao Paulo. Although even then, Max always finished in 2nd place to minimize the damage. Or when you look at the races where he didn't finish either 1st or 2nd, in Azerbaijan he retired because his tyre exploded whilst he was in the lead of the race. In Silverstone he crashed out after a collision with Lewis, which to me was more Lewis's fault. In Hungary he got taken out by Bottas and was on a recovery drive. And then the only other time he finished outside of the top 2 was in Monza, where again he crashed out after a collision with Lewis, and on this occasion I think that was more on Max. The point being,
Jesus, I get that's a part of the game. That's a part of the racing game, but
that Monza aside, the only times where Max finished outside of the top 2 were races where external factors outside of his control prevented him from having a clean race. Moving into 2022, again, if we ignore the races that he won and also the races where Ferrari or Mercedes were just better, which in 2022 was literally just 2 races in Austria and Brazil, the races in which he finished outside of the top 2 were Bahrain due to a reliability issue, Australia due to a reliability issue, Monaco where there was quite a lot of shenanigans going on with Checo crashing out, which I won't put on Max, Silverstone where he picked up floor damage, and then Singapore where the team made a miscalculation with his fuel in qualifying. Once again, when Max genuinely has a clean weekend with nothing affecting him and no teammates preventing him from completing a lap, he only lost 2 races on pure performance.
So basically, when the car is acting right and it ain't know what I'm saying, like crashes or nothing to stop the race, or know what I'm saying, without any mistakes, Max is gonna finish top 2. Basically, what I'm hearing. With no mistakes and the car acting right, Max is top 2. He's no matter what, he's getting in that top 2. And we've seen
Finally,
it.
moving on to 2023, although we've only had 5 races so far, in the 2 races that he hasn't managed to win, in Jeddah he had a drive shaft issue in Q2 which left him starting in P15, and then in Baku he was actually leading the race ahead of Checo, and it was only the timing of the safety car which meant that Checo then managed to jump him and hold him off for the win. Yeah. There is a very real possibility that if small things went Max's way, he could have won all 5 of the races so far this season. Now, of course, reliability, strategical decisions, safety car timings, all of these things are part of racing that some days will go your way and some days will go against you.
For sure.
When I look at Max's dominance, it's not the races that he's won that have impressed me the most, it's how freakishly consistent he is even when he's having a bad day. When he finishes outside of the top 2, 9 out of 10 times there is always an underlying reason during that weekend that causes that result. And since 2021, if you just give Max a clean weekend with 0 issues, apart from a couple of races a season, he is basically finishing either 1st or 2nd in every single one of them.
Insane.
When it comes to his stats during this period,
49 races, 28 wins, 40 podiums, 19 pole positions. That's crazy. 49 races, 40 podiums, bro. 28 wins. That's insane.
It is really just incredible. Since 2021, and as of recording this video, in 49 races he has taken 28 Grand Prix wins, which works out to a 57 win percentage. And in that time he has also taken 40 podiums and 19 pole positions. And now, even though the pole numbers might seem a little bit light relative to his number of wins, I don't think that that is a massive indictment of Verstappen's qualifying ability. And now, do I think that Leclerc is a better driver over one lap? Yeah, I do. I think Leclerc's qualifying ability is literally the best on the grid, and I think that his lack of race wins off the back of those poles is more an indictment on Ferrari, who haven't been able to give him a better race car. With Red Bull, especially since 2022, it's been almost the opposite. Max knows that the strengths of his car come on a Sunday, and that's what has led to some of his most outrageous drives, winning from 11th on the grid in Hungary last year, and then in the very next race, winning from 14th on the grid at Spa and taking the outright lead of the race by just lap 18 of the race. There has been moments over the past couple of years where the best word to describe Max Verstappen has been inevitable. It hasn't been a question of
that's facts. That's the perfect word to explain Max Verstappen.
Will he win the race, but it's been a question of how long will it take him to get into the lead and then win the race.
That's it.
And that has also been true when it comes to his ability to score points. Since the start of 2016, which includes the 4 races he did with Toro Rosso, if you take away the times where he retired and didn't get to the checkered flag because of a reliability issue or a crash, guess how many times he's finished outside of the points in 8 years? Once. When Max Verstappen has reached the checkered flag, he has failed to finish in the points just 1 time in 8 years, which came at the 2016 Belgian Grand Prix when he finished in 11th. Max's consistency and speed has been exactly that, consistent throughout all of his career. It's just that now, in his absolute prime with all of that experience and better judgment in a race-winning car, we are watching an all-time driver drive at a level that almost feels unbeatable.
Yes.
But having said that, just like in all sports where an individual or a team are dominating, the conversation very quickly moves on to not how long will they dominate, but who is going to be the one to knock them off their throne.
Facts.
Well,
Facts.
there you have it. If you did enjoy this video and want to support the channel, then don't forget to subscribe, that would be massively appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.
I am intrigued at who could possibly knock Max off his throne. In my eyes, he's already got 2023 wrapped up. He's gonna win this drivers' championship, no problem. 2024, will there be anyone who could challenge him, or will it be more of the same? That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D Neal. Out.